Why do you want to be happy? It seems like a simple question. The answer feels obvious. Everyone wants happiness. It is a fundamental human desire. We organize our lives around this single, powerful goal. We choose our careers, our partners, and where we live, all with the hope that these choices will lead us to a state of joy and contentment. This pursuit is not new. It has been the subject of philosophical debates for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers and modern scientists alike have tried to unlock the secrets to a happy life. Yet for something so universally desired, true, lasting happiness often feels remarkably elusive, like a shadow we can see but never quite catch. Think about the major milestones in your life. Perhaps it was graduating from university, landing your dream job, or buying your first home. You probably believed that achieving each of these goals would bring you a profound and lasting sense of satisfaction. You might have told yourself, once I get that promotion, I will finally be happy. Or maybe, if I could just find the right person, my life would be complete. We all create these mental finish lines, believing that happiness is a destination we can arrive at. This way of thinking is incredibly common, but it sets us up for a continuous cycle of striving and often disappointment when the feeling of joy proves to be fleeting. The reality is that for many of us, the happiness we expect to feel after a major achievement is surprisingly short-lived. The initial thrill fades, the excitement wears off, and we soon find ourselves back where we started, looking for the next thing to chase. It is a pattern that repeats itself over and over again. This experience can be confusing and disheartening. We start to wonder if there is something wrong with us. Why doesn't success feel as good as we thought it would? Why does the contentment we work so hard for slip through our fingers so quickly? The problem isn't our desire for happiness, but rather our fundamental misunderstanding of what it is and how to attain it. This essay will explore the modern paradox of happiness. We live in a world with unprecedented levels of comfort, opportunity, and material wealth, yet rates of anxiety and depression are on the rise. We will dive into the science of what truly makes us happy, moving beyond the common myths and misconceptions that keep so many people stuck in a rut. We will uncover why the popular formulas for happiness, more money, more success, more possessions, so often fail to deliver on their promise. More importantly, we will outline a practical, science-backed path toward building a more authentic and enduring sense of well-being, one that is available to everyone, regardless of their circumstances. Let's consider the world we live in today. By almost any historical measure, we are living in an era of incredible abundance and progress. We have access to technology that our ancestors could only dream of. Information is available at our fingertips. Medical advancements have extended our lifespans and improved our quality of life in countless ways. For many, material comfort is at an all-time high. We have comfortable homes, plentiful food, and endless entertainment options. Logically, we should be the happiest generation in human history. Yet, when we look closely at the data and listen to the stories around us, a different picture emerges, one filled with a quiet sense of dissatisfaction. Despite all our external advancements, a growing number of people report feeling empty, anxious, and unfulfilled. The very things that were supposed to make us happy seem to be falling short. This is the great paradox of modern life. We have more of everything, except, it seems, the one thing we want most: genuine happiness. We are constantly told that success is the key, so we work harder and longer hours. We are bombarded with advertisements telling us that the next purchase will bring us joy, so we accumulate more things. We believe that fame or recognition will fill the void, so we chase likes and followers on social media, hoping for a fleeting sense of validation. This chase for external rewards is relentless. It is a treadmill that is difficult to step off of once you are on it. The problem is that the human brain is remarkably adept at adaptation. This phenomenon, known as hedonic adaptation, means that we quickly get used to positive changes in our lives. That new car is exciting for a few weeks, but soon it just becomes the car you drive to work. That pay raise feels great, but before long you have adjusted your lifestyle, and it becomes the new normal. The brain's reward system, driven by the chemical dopamine, is designed to seek out novelty, not to sustain a constant state of bliss from the same old stimulus. As a result, we are left feeling like we are running in place. We keep reaching for the next goal, the next purchase, or the next experience, believing that this time it will be different. This time the happiness will stick, but this approach is like trying to quench your thirst by drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. This essay will challenge this flawed approach. we will investigate why our intuition about what makes us happy is so often wrong. By understanding the science behind our emotions and the psychological traps we fall into, we can begin to shift our focus from the fleeting pleasures of the external world to the deep, lasting contentment that comes from within. To understand happiness, we must first look inside our own heads. Our brains are incredibly complex organs, wired for survival above all else. Happiness, from a biological standpoint, is not a final destination but a guidance system. It is a series of chemical signals designed to encourage behaviors that help us live, thrive, and pass on our genes. Think of it as your brain's way of giving you a thumbs up. When you do something beneficial, like eating a nutritious meal or connecting with a friend, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel good. This feeling is a reward, a little nudge from nature saying, yes, do that again. This system is elegant in its simplicity, and has worked for thousands of years. The key players in this internal drama are neurotransmitters. These are the chemical messengers that transmit signals between brain cells. Chemicals like serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins all play a role in our feelings of well-being. Serotonin helps regulate our mood, contributing to a sense of calm and contentment. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, is crucial for social bonding and feelings of trust. Endorphins are our body's natural painkillers, released in response to stress or discomfort, but also during activities like exercise, creating what is known as a runner's high. Understanding these chemicals is the first step to understanding our own emotional landscape. They are the building blocks of our daily emotional experiences. However, the brain's happiness blueprint has a catch. It is not designed to keep us in a state of constant bliss. In fact, a perpetual state of happiness would be counterproductive from an evolutionary perspective. If we were always happy and satisfied, what would motivate us to seek food, find shelter, or improve our situation? Our ancestors needed a system that rewarded progress, not one that encouraged complacency. Therefore, our feelings of happiness are designed to be temporary. They rise when we achieve something important and then they fall, prompting us to set our sights on the next goal. This is why the joy from past achievements fades over time. This design explains why simply chasing good feelings often leads to frustration. We are hardwired to return to a baseline level of happiness. Psychologists call this our happiness set point. While life events can cause temporary spikes or dips in our mood, we tend to gravitate back to our personal baseline. This set point is determined by a mix of genetics and early life experiences. It is not completely fixed, but it is more stable than we might think. This means that if we want to experience a lasting increase in well-being, we cannot just rely on fleeting moments of pleasure. We must work to change the underlying habits and thought patterns that define our baseline. One of the most misunderstood chemicals in the brain is dopamine. It is often labeled the pleasure molecule, but that is not quite accurate. Dopamine is more about motivation and anticipation than pleasure itself. It is the chemical of desire. It is what drives you to seek out rewards. When you are scrolling through social media, checking your email for a new message, or anticipating a delicious meal, dopamine is the force compelling you forward. It creates a powerful urge to pursue things that your brain believes will bring you a reward. This system is essential for goal setting and achievement, pushing us to explore, learn, and grow. The problem arises when this system gets hijacked. The modern world is filled with what scientists call supernormal stimuli. These are amplified versions of the things our brains are naturally wired to seek. A piece of fruit offers a small, natural dopamine hit. A candy bar, packed with processed sugar, offers a much bigger one. A friendly conversation with a neighbor provides a gentle sense of connection. An endless scroll through a perfectly curated social media feed offers a rapid-fire series of potential social rewards. These supercharged stimuli can create a powerful cycle of seeking and reward, which can quickly turn into a trap. This cycle is often referred to as the dopamine loop. You see a cue, like a notification on your phone, which triggers a craving. You perform an action, you check the notification, and you get a small variable reward. It might be an exciting message, or it might be nothing. The variability is key. Just like a slot machine, the uncertainty of the reward makes the behavior even more compelling and habit-forming. Your brain learns to associate the cue with a potential reward, and the dopamine system pushes you to repeat the action again and again. This is the same mechanism that underlies addiction. whether it's to substances, gambling, or our digital devices. This constant pursuit of dopamine hits leaves us feeling wired but tired. We are always seeking the next little thrill, the next distraction, the next piece of stimulating information. But this chase does not lead to deep contentment. Instead, it can lead to a state of chronic distraction and a feeling of being unfulfilled. The pleasure we get from these quick hits is shallow and short-lived. It is like snacking on junk food all day instead of eating a nourishing meal. You might feel temporarily full, but you are not getting the nutrients you need for long-term health. True happiness requires more than just a series of dopamine spikes. The brain's tendency to adapt to new circumstances has a powerful effect on our long-term happiness. This concept, known as hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill, is one of the most important findings in the science of well-being. It explains why major life events, both positive and negative, often have less of a lasting impact on our happiness than we expect. Think of it like walking on a treadmill. You can walk faster and faster, putting in more and more effort, but you ultimately stay in the same place. Similarly, we can achieve more success and acquire more possessions, but our baseline level of happiness often remains stubbornly unchanged. Consider the classic example of lottery winners. Most people imagine that winning a huge sum of money would solve all their problems and guarantee a lifetime of bliss. The reality, however, is quite different. Studies that have followed lottery winners over time have found that after an initial period of euphoria, their happiness levels tend to return to where they were before they won. They get used to their new wealth. The mansion becomes just a house. The fancy car becomes just a mode of transportation. They adapt to their new circumstances, and the initial thrill wears off, leaving them no happier in the long run than they were before. The same principle applies to negative events. Researchers have also studied people who have experienced life-altering accidents, such as paralysis. While there is an initial period of profound grief and difficulty, many individuals eventually adapt to their new reality. Over time, their reported happiness levels often return surprisingly close to their pre-accident baseline. This is a testament to the incredible resilience of the human spirit. However, it also highlights the power of adaptation. Our brains are designed to normalize our circumstances, whether good or bad, to help us function and move forward. This process helps us recover from tragedy, but it also dampens the lasting joy from our triumphs. Understanding the hedonic treadmill is crucial because it reveals the futility of chasing happiness through external achievements alone. If you pin all your hopes for happiness on getting a promotion, buying a bigger house, or earning more money, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. The happiness boost you get from these things is real, but it is temporary. The treadmill ensures that you will soon be back where you started, looking for the next thing to strive for. To get off this endless treadmill, we must shift our focus. Instead of chasing external goals, we need to cultivate internal states and habits that are less prone to adaptation, such as gratitude, strong social connections, and a sense of purpose. From a young age, many of us are taught a simple equation. More money equals more happiness. It is a message that surrounds us. It is in the movies we watch, the advertisements we see, and the stories we hear about successful people. We are led to believe that if we could just earn a little more, we could finally relax and enjoy life. This belief drives many of our biggest life decisions. It influences our choice of career, the hours we work, and the sacrifices we make along the way. We chase higher salaries and bigger bank accounts, convinced that financial wealth is the most direct path to a life filled with joy and security. The truth about money and happiness, however, is far more complex than this simple story suggests. Research in psychology and economics has explored this relationship in great detail. The findings are surprisingly consistent. Yes, money does matter for happiness, but only up to a certain point. For people living in poverty, an increase in income makes a huge difference. When you are worried about having enough food, a safe place to live, or access to healthcare, more money directly reduces stress and suffering. It provides a fundamental level of security that is essential for well-being. In this sense, money can buy you out of unhappiness. The surprising twist comes once our basic needs are met. Studies, including a famous one by economists Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, have found that beyond a certain income threshold, more money has a diminishing effect on our day-to-day happiness. While our overall life satisfaction might continue to tick upward with a higher salary, Our emotional well-being, the actual feelings of joy, stress, or sadness we experience, tends to plateau. Once you are earning enough to be comfortable and secure, doubling your income will not double your happiness. The extra money buys more luxuries, but it doesn't buy more positive feelings. This is a critical distinction that most people miss. This happens because of the hedonic treadmill we discussed earlier. We quickly adapt to our new financial reality. A bigger salary leads to a bigger house, a nicer car, and more expensive vacations. At first, these things are exciting and bring us pleasure. But soon, they become our new normal. The mansion that once felt like a palace now just feels like home. The luxury car is simply what you drive to the grocery store. We end up on a treadmill of earning and spending, requiring ever-increasing amounts of money just to maintain the same level of satisfaction. This is the money myth in action. The endless pursuit of wealth that fails to deliver the lasting happiness it promises. Beyond money, another powerful motivator in our lives is the pursuit of status. We are social creatures by nature. For our ancestors, being a respected member of the tribe was a matter of life and death. High status meant better access to resources, more protection, and greater opportunities for survival and reproduction. Our brains evolved to pay close attention to our social standing. We are deeply wired to seek the approval, admiration, and respect of others. In the modern world, this drive manifests as a desire for success, prestige, and recognition. We want the impressive job title, the corner office, the awards, and the public acclaim. We often believe that achieving high status will bring us a deep and enduring sense of self-worth and happiness. We think, if people look up to me, I will finally feel good about myself. This desire sends us on a relentless quest to climb the social and professional ladder. We work tirelessly for promotions, network obsessively to build our connections, and carefully curate our public image to project an aura of success. The validation we receive from others can feel incredibly rewarding. A compliment from the boss, a mention in an article, or an award ceremony can provide a powerful, albeit temporary boost to our ego and our mood. The problem with chasing status is that it is a competitive zero-sum game. For one person to move up, someone else often has to move down, or be left behind. This creates a constant environment of competition and social anxiety. We are always worried about what others think of us. Are we keeping up? Are we falling behind? This constant social comparison is exhausting, and is a direct path to dissatisfaction. There will always be someone who has a better job title, a more prestigious award, or a larger following. The finish line is always moving, and the sense of achievement is fragile and fleeting. It depends entirely on the opinions of others. Furthermore, tying your happiness to status means you are placing your self-worth in the hands of others. Your sense of value becomes external, dependent on praise and recognition. When that praise disappears, so does your happiness. This is an incredibly precarious way to live. A single criticism, a professional setback, or simply being ignored can feel like a devastating blow. The pursuit of status promises to fill us with a sense of importance, but it often leaves us feeling more insecure and empty than when we started. True self-worth cannot be granted by others. It must be cultivated from within, independent of external validation. In our consumer-driven society, we are constantly bombarded with a single, pervasive message. Buying things will make you happy. Advertisements paint a vivid picture of the joy that awaits us with the purchase of a new car, the latest smartphone, or a fashionable wardrobe. The message is simple and seductive. It suggests that happiness is something you can purchase, something you can unbox and own. This belief leads us to accumulate possessions, hoping to fill an emotional void with material goods. We engage in retail therapy, heading to the mall or scrolling through online stores when we feel down, seeking a quick lift from a new purchase. The initial thrill of acquiring something new is very real. As we saw, the anticipation and act of buying can trigger a dopamine release in the brain, creating a temporary feeling of pleasure and excitement. Unwrapping a new gadget or trying on a new outfit feels good. The problem is that this feeling is incredibly short-lived. The novelty wears off fast. The hedonic treadmill kicks in, and the new item quickly becomes just another part of our environment. The shiny new phone soon gets a scratch, the trendy new coat gets pushed to the back of the closet, and we are left feeling much the same as before, only with a bit less money in our bank account. This cycle of buying and adapting leads to a life filled with clutter, both physical and mental. Our homes become filled with things we rarely use, objects that once promised happiness, but now only gather dust. This physical clutter can contribute to a sense of stress and overwhelm. Our minds also become cluttered with the desire for the next thing. We are never content with what we have because we are always focused on what we lack. This constant wanting creates a low-grade, persistent feeling of dissatisfaction. The pursuit of happiness through possessions becomes a source of chronic unhappiness itself, a trap that is difficult to escape. The evidence is clear that experiences, not things, are what lead to more lasting happiness. A study by psychologist Thomas Gilovich found that people derive more long-term satisfaction from experiential purchases, like vacations, concerts, or even a special meal out, than from material purchases. Experiences become a part of our identity. We can relive them in our memories, share the stories with others, and they connect us to people in a way that possessions cannot. While the joy of a new object fades, the positive memories from a wonderful experience can provide us with happiness for years to come. Shifting our spending from things to experiences is a powerful step toward greater well-being. One of the most subtle but damaging traps we fall into is the chase for a perfect life. This is not just about having the perfect job or the perfect house, but about achieving a state of flawless existence. We imagine a life free from pain, struggle, and discomfort. We believe that if we could just fix all our flaws, solve all our problems, and eliminate all sources of negativity, we would finally arrive at a state of pure and unbroken happiness. This desire is fueled by the curated images we see on social media, where everyone else's life appears to be a highlight reel of success, beauty, and effortless joy. This pursuit of perfection is an illusion. Life, by its very nature, is imperfect. It is a mix of ups and downs, joy and sorrow, success and failure. To expect a life without any negative experiences is to set an impossible standard. Chasing this illusion leads to a constant state of frustration and self-criticism. Every setback feels like a personal failure. Every difficult emotion feels like a sign that something is wrong with us. We become intolerant of our own humanity, trying to suppress or ignore the very experiences that are an essential part of a full and meaningful life. This struggle against reality is a battle we can never win. Furthermore, the relentless pursuit of perfection prevents us from appreciating the beauty of the good enough. We miss out on the simple joys of the present moment, because we are always focused on what could be better. A wonderful family dinner is tainted by the thought that the meal wasn't quite perfect. A successful project at work is overshadowed by dwelling on one minor mistake. We are so busy striving for an unattainable ideal that we fail to see and appreciate the good that is already in our lives. This mindset robs us of gratitude and contentment, replacing them with a persistent feeling that we are not quite there yet. The key to escaping this trap is to embrace imperfection, both in ourselves and in our lives. It means practicing self-compassion, accepting that it is okay to make mistakes and feel difficult emotions. It means understanding that challenges and struggles are not obstacles to happiness, but are often the very things that help us grow and build resilience. True contentment does not come from creating a perfect life, but from learning to find joy and meaning within the messy, beautiful, and imperfect reality of our human experience. It is about letting go of the illusion of control and learning to dance with life as it is, not as we wish it would be. Why do we care so much about what other people have and do? The tendency to compare ourselves to others is not a modern invention or a character flaw. It is a deeply ingrained human instinct, wired into our brains for survival. For our ancient ancestors, social comparison was a practical tool. By looking at others in their tribe, they could quickly assess their own standing and abilities. Am I as strong as the best hunter? Do I have as much food stored as my neighbor? This information was crucial for survival, helping individuals gauge their own skills, identify areas for improvement, and understand the social hierarchy. It was a way of asking, am I doing okay? This instinct to measure ourselves against others is still very much alive today. We do it automatically, and often unconsciously. We notice the car our neighbor drives, the job title our colleague gets, or the vacation photos a friend posts online. Our brain immediately begins to make a comparison, placing us on a mental ladder relative to them. In a world with clear shared standards, this might have been a useful motivating force. It could push us to work harder or learn new skills. However, in our complex, globalized society, this instinct, which was once a tool for survival, has become a major source of modern unhappiness and anxiety. The problem is that we no longer compare ourselves to a small, stable group of people in our village. We are now connected to billions of people around the world. We are exposed to the highlights of an endless stream of lives, from celebrities and influencers to old high school acquaintances. This constant influx of information overloads our brain's natural comparison mechanism. We are no longer just comparing our abilities to a neighbor to see if we need to improve our farming skills. Instead, we are comparing our real, messy, everyday lives to the carefully curated, filtered, and perfected public images of countless others. This is a game we can never win. This constant social measurement creates a feeling that we are always falling short. The goalposts are always moving, because there will always be someone who appears to be richer, smarter, more successful, or more attractive. This is not a healthy source of motivation. It is a recipe for chronic dissatisfaction. Our innate drive to compare, which once helped us fit into a small community, now works against us. It pulls our attention away from our own path and our own progress, and instead traps us in a cycle of envy and self-doubt, making it nearly impossible to feel content with what we have. If the human brain is naturally wired for comparison, then social media is like pouring gasoline on that fire. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are designed to be the ultimate comparison machines. They present us with a non-stop, curated parade of other people's lives. We see the exotic vacations, the romantic proposals, the beautiful homes, the perfect children, and the career achievements. But, we are not seeing the full picture of their lives, of course. We are only seeing the highlight reel, the very best moments that have been carefully selected, edited, and polished for public consumption. Our logical brain might know this, but our emotional brain often forgets. This curated reality creates a powerful and distorted view of the world. As we scroll through our feeds, our brain unconsciously absorbs these images as the norm. We start to believe that everyone else is living these incredibly happy, successful, and exciting lives all the time. We see their peak moments and compare them to our ordinary behind-the-scenes reality. We compare their vacation photos to our Tuesday morning commute. We compare their engagement announcement to our quiet evening at home. This mismatch between their curated highlights and our everyday life can leave us feeling inadequate, lonely, and deeply envious. Social media creates a world where everyone else seems to be winning. The design of these platforms makes the problem even worse. The algorithms are built to keep us engaged, and, well, they do this by showing us content that elicits a strong emotional reaction. This often means showing us the most extravagant, most beautiful, and most successful content, because that is what captures our attention. The system feeds our comparison instinct, creating a loop where we see something that makes us feel a pang of envy, which then makes us scroll further, hoping to see something that makes us feel better. But we are just met with more and more images of perfection, digging us deeper into a hole of dissatisfaction. The result is a significant negative impact on mental health. Numerous studies have linked heavy social media use to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem, particularly among young people. It's not the technology itself that's inherently bad, but rather how it interacts with our brain's pre-existing vulnerabilities. Social media amplifies our natural tendency to compare, turning it from a background hum into a constant, deafening roar. It creates a breeding ground for envy and the feeling that our own life is not good enough, making authentic happiness feel further and further out of reach. When we compare ourselves to others, we rarely do it in a balanced way. We tend to engage in what psychologists call upward social comparison. This means we compare ourselves to people who we perceive to be better off than we are. We look at the person with more money, the friend with the seemingly perfect relationship, or the colleague who got the promotion we wanted. We rarely spend time comparing ourselves to those who may have less than us, a practice known as downward social comparison, which can actually boost feelings of gratitude and satisfaction. Our attention is naturally drawn upward toward what we lack. This upward comparison is a trap because it consistently reinforces a narrative of deficiency. It makes our own achievements feel small and insignificant. You might be proud of the 10% raise you received at work, but that feeling can quickly evaporate when you hear that a friend got a 20% raise. You might love your cozy little apartment, but after scrolling through pictures of a friend's spacious new house, your own home can suddenly feel cramped and inadequate. Upward comparison acts like a thief, stealing the joy from our own accomplishments and circumstances by constantly reminding us of what we do not have. This focus on what we lack puts us squarely back on the hedonic treadmill. We believe that if we could just reach the level of the person we are comparing ourselves to, we would finally be happy. So we work harder, strive for more, and chase the next goal. But when we get there, we do not stop. We simply find a new, higher target for comparison. The person who was once our benchmark is replaced by someone even more successful. The race never ends because the finish line is always moving further up the ladder. This is why more is never enough. The feeling of enough is impossible when the yardstick we use is always someone else's highlight reel. This trap is especially dangerous because it feels like a personal failure. We do not blame the act of comparison for our unhappiness. We blame ourselves. We think, I am not successful enough, or I am not working hard enough. This internal monologue erodes our self-esteem and creates a cycle of negative self-talk. It prevents us from celebrating our own unique journey and progress. Instead of appreciating how far we have come, we are fixated on how far we still have to go to catch up to an ever-receding ideal. Escaping this trap requires a conscious shift in our focus, away from others, and back toward ourselves. Getting off the comparison treadmill is not easy, but it is essential for finding genuine contentment. The first and most powerful step is to cultivate awareness. We need to start noticing when we are falling into the comparison trap. Pay attention to your feelings as you scroll through social media or talk to friends. When you feel a pang of envy, a dip in your mood, or a wave of self-criticism, pause and ask yourself, am I comparing myself to someone right now? Simply recognizing the act of comparison as it happens can break its hold over you. It allows you to see it for what it is, a mental habit, not a reflection of reality. Once you are aware of the habit, you can begin to actively limit your exposure to your triggers. This might mean making a conscious decision to reduce your time on social media. You could unfollow accounts that consistently make you feel inadequate or use app timers to set firm boundaries. This is not about cutting yourself off from the world, but about curating your information diet to protect your mental well-being. Think of it like cleaning up your kitchen. You are removing the junk food that offers a quick, unsatisfying hit and making more room for the things that truly nourish you. Fill the time you save with activities that bring you real joy, like a hobby, exercise, or time in nature. The next step is to shift your focus from others' achievements to your own progress. Start comparing yourself today to yourself yesterday. Keep a journal to track your own growth, celebrate your small wins, and acknowledge how far you have come on your personal journey. This internal benchmark is far more stable and motivating than the external benchmark of other people's lives. It allows you to appreciate your own unique path, with all its challenges and triumphs. It replaces the feeling of I am not enough with the feeling of I am growing, which is a much healthier and more sustainable source of motivation. Finally, the most effective antidote to envy is gratitude. When you find yourself comparing upward and focusing on what you lack, intentionally redirect your thoughts to what you have. Make a daily practice of listing 3 things you are grateful for. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a sunny day, or a kind word from a friend. Gratitude rewires your brain to scan the world for positives instead of negatives. It grounds you in the present moment and helps you appreciate the abundance that is already in your life. By replacing the poison of comparison with the medicine of gratitude, you can break free from the cycle and build a foundation for lasting happiness. After exploring the traps that keep us from happiness, we can now turn to a more hopeful question. What actually works? If money, status, and possessions are not the answer, where does lasting joy come from? The science of positive psychology points to a set of internal skills and habits that we can all cultivate. One of the most powerful and well-researched of these is gratitude. It sounds simple, almost too simple to be effective, but the practice of actively noticing and appreciating the good in our lives is a potent antidote to the brain's natural negativity bias and the endless cycle of wanting more. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. Think about how your brain usually works. It is constantly scanning for threats, problems, and things that need fixing. This is a survival mechanism that has kept our species alive for millennia. But in the modern world, this default setting can lead to a state of chronic dissatisfaction. Gratitude is the conscious act of overriding this default programming. It is a mental workout that strengthens your brain's ability to see the positive. By regularly taking time to count your blessings, you are not denying the difficulties of life. You are simply balancing the scales, giving the good things in your life the attention they deserve and, often lack. The benefits of this practice are profound. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude report higher levels of positive emotions, more optimism, and greater life satisfaction. They even experience physical benefits, such as better sleep and stronger immune systems. One simple way to begin is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 to 5 things you are thankful for. They do not have to be grand or monumental. It could be the taste of your morning coffee, a conversation with a loved one, or the feeling of the sun on your skin. This simple act rewires your brain to seek out the good. Closely related to gratitude is the practice of presence, or mindfulness. Much of our unhappiness stems from our mind's tendency to wander. We dwell on past regrets or worry about future anxieties, rarely living in the one moment we actually have, the present. Mindfulness is the practice of gently bringing your attention back to the here and now, without judgment. It means truly tasting your food, feeling the ground beneath your feet as you walk, or listening fully when someone is speaking. By grounding ourselves in the present, we escape the mental chatter that so often causes stress and dissatisfaction, creating a space for contentment to arise naturally. Human beings are fundamentally social creatures. From the moment we are born, we're wired for connection. Our survival and well-being are inextricably linked to the quality of our relationships. While we often prioritize individual achievements like career success or financial wealth, the longest-running study on happiness, the Harvard study of adult development, has come to a clear and unequivocal conclusion. More than money, fame, or social status, it is our close relationships that are the single greatest predictor of our long-term health and happiness. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. This is a truth we often forget in our busy, individualistic world. The study, which has followed 2 groups of men for over 80 years, found that the people who were most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. The warmth of our connections with family, friends, and community acts as a powerful buffer against the stresses of life. When we face challenges, setbacks, or heartbreak, it is our relationships that provide the support and resilience we need to navigate through them. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a toxin. It has been shown to be as damaging to our physical health as smoking or obesity, increasing the risk of depression, cognitive decline, and premature death. So, how do we cultivate these vital connections? It is not about having hundreds of friends on social media or being the most popular person in the room. It is about the quality, not the quantity, of our relationships. It is about having a few people in your life with whom you can be your authentic self. People you can count on, and who can count on you. This requires a conscious investment of time and energy. It means putting down your phone and being present with the people you are with. It means being vulnerable, sharing your true feelings, and listening with empathy when others share theirs. Building and maintaining strong relationships takes work. In our modern lives, it is easy to let friendships drift apart due to busy schedules and competing demands. We must be intentional about nurturing our social bonds, schedule regular time with friends and family, reach out to someone you have not spoken to in a while, join a group or club centered around a shared interest to meet new people. Even small acts of kindness and connection with strangers, like smiling at a cashier or chatting with your barista, can provide a small but meaningful boost to your well-being. Prioritizing people over possessions and prestige is one of the most reliable paths to a happier life. The final piece of the happiness puzzle goes beyond feelings of pleasure or contentment. It touches on a deeper human need, the need for meaning and purpose. A happy life is not just a life filled with positive emotions, it is also a life that feels significant. A life where you feel you are contributing to something larger than yourself. Purpose is the why that gets you out of bed in the morning. It is a guiding principle that gives your life direction and helps you make sense of your experiences, both good and bad. Without a sense of purpose, even a life filled with pleasure can end up feeling empty and adrift. Finding your purpose can sound like a daunting task. We often think of it as a single, grand calling that we must discover. But for most people, purpose is not one big thing. It is a collection of small things. It can be found in your work, in raising a family, in volunteering for a cause you believe in creating art, or in being a kind and supportive friend. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you build. It is about identifying your core values, what truly matters to you, and then finding ways to express those values through your actions every day, no matter how small. One of the most reliable ways to build a sense of purpose is through service to others. When we shift our focus from our own needs and desires to helping other people, something pretty remarkable happens. We feel more connected, our own problems seem to shrink in comparison, and we gain a powerful sense of efficacy and meaning. This does not mean you have to quit your job and join a nonprofit. You can find opportunities to serve in countless ways. It could be mentoring a younger colleague, helping a neighbor with their groceries, or simply offering a listening ear to a friend who is struggling. Acts of giving are a direct investment in our own well-being. Ultimately, a purpose-driven life integrates all the elements we have discussed. It is a life where you express gratitude for what you have, nurture your connections with others, and use your unique talents to contribute to the world in a positive way. When you are living in alignment with your values, your daily actions feel meaningful. This creates a resilient and authentic form of happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a deep sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing that your life matters. This is the ultimate goal, not just to feel happy, but to live a life rich with meaning and purpose. The journey we have taken through the science of happiness leads us to a simple yet profound conclusion. True, lasting happiness is not a prize to be won at the end of a long chase. It is not a destination you arrive at once you have earned enough money, achieved enough status, or acquired enough possessions. It is not something you can find outside of yourself. Instead, happiness is a skill you can learn, a practice you can cultivate, and a state of being you can build from within, day by day. It is the result of intentional choices and consistent habits. It is less like hunting for treasure and more like tending to a garden. We have seen how our own minds can lead us astray. Our brains are wired with ancient survival instincts that are often mismatched with the modern world. The dopamine-driven desire for more, the hedonic treadmill that normalizes our achievements, and the deep-seated instinct to compare ourselves to others all create powerful traps. These traps convince us to chase external rewards that promise fulfillment but deliver only fleeting pleasure. Understanding these psychological pitfalls is the first step toward disarming them. It allows us to see the game our mind is playing and choose not to participate in the endless, unwinnable race for more. The path to genuine well-being requires a fundamental shift in focus. It means turning away from the noise of external validation and tuning into the quiet wisdom of our own experience. It involves moving from a mindset of lack to one of abundance by practicing gratitude for what we already have. It means prioritizing the deep, nourishing connections with other people over the shallow accumulation of things. It is about understanding that a meaningful life is not one devoid of struggle, but one where our struggles are infused with a sense of purpose, a feeling that we are contributing to something beyond our own selfish interests. This shift does not require a dramatic overhaul of your life. It does not mean you must abandon your ambitions or reject material comfort. Rather, it is about changing your relationship with these things. It is about pursuing goals not because you believe they will be the final source of your happiness, but because the pursuit itself aligns with your values. It is about enjoying your successes without making your self-worth dependent on them. This reorientation allows you to find joy not just in the destination, but all along the journey, in the small, ordinary moments that make up a life well lived. The most inspiring message from the science of well-being is one of profound hope and empowerment. You have the ability to change your own happiness level. While genetics and life circumstances do play a role, a significant portion of your contentment is within your control. You're not a passive victim of your moods or a helpless passenger in your own life. You are the architect of your inner world. By choosing to cultivate habits like gratitude, presence, connection, and purpose, you can actively rewire your brain for greater joy and resilience. Happiness is a choice, and it is a choice you can make starting today. This journey begins with small, deliberate steps. You do not need to meditate for an hour a day, or suddenly volunteer 40 hours a week. Start small. Tonight, before you go to sleep, think of 3 things you were grateful for today. Tomorrow, Put your phone away during a meal with a loved one, and give them your full attention. This weekend, spend an hour in nature or reach out to a friend you have been meaning to call. These are not trivial actions. Each one is a vote for the kind of life you want to live. They are the small hinges that swing big doors. Embrace the imperfection of the process. There will be days when you fall back into old habits, when you get caught in the comparison trap, or when you feel overwhelmed and unhappy. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of being human. The goal is not to achieve a state of uninterrupted bliss. The goal is to build the resilience to navigate life's ups and downs with a greater sense of peace and purpose. It is about learning to be kind to yourself, especially when you are struggling. Each moment is a new opportunity to begin again, to gently guide your attention back to what truly matters. Your happiness is one of the most important projects of your life. It not only affects your own well-being but also ripples outward, touching the lives of those around you. A happier you is a more patient parent, a more compassionate friend, a more engaged colleague, and a more positive force in your community. The pursuit of authentic happiness is not a selfish endeavor. It is a gift to yourself and to the world. The path is clear, the tools are available, and the potential for a richer, more meaningful life is waiting. The only question left is whether you will choose to walk it. Your journey starts now.